Right. So this is my first time trying this out. I'm going to do a tour of my sketchbook from 2018. The cover of this one is a sticker that I got from the Ghibli Museum, which I'm very pleased with. I just like the look of these vinyl stickers a lot. Um, so, this sketchbook was from when I was actively working on Chirault, so the first few pages of it are from the epilogue of that comic as I was doing the pages there. So it opens with this scene with Trillia and Ridriel talking, and you can see the original markers and my incredibly messy handwriting as I kind of tried to put these pages together. I cannot. I think this is Dragon Age Inquisition fan art of my Inquisitor, who was one of those extremely tall fellows with twirly horns. Um, I guess I was playing that game at the time that I was also going through these, and it looks like I started sketching a page and then kind of stopped halfway for unknown reasons. Switching to a scene with Tico. It's kind of fun looking at these pages again because it's been a good few years since I actually drew these. I would write in what the characters were saying just so that I would be able to see it for myself as I was drawing the expressions in, which was just helpful to get the nuance right of my script. And then I would erase it all and replace it with a proper font in Photoshop. I think I also replaced the magic circles in this page in Photoshop to make sure that they looked right. It looks like this is the page where I worked these out so that I could just take these and drop them right into the clear space that I left for myself over here. And then some notes on various other things. I think is trying to figure out illustrations to do possibly for the Kickstarter that also started happening around this time. Some fun little scenes. The nostalgia for these characters is real. These are all inked with a Pentel calligraphy pocket brush and toned with Copic markers. I would always use the same set of like 3 or 4 markers to get the range of light grays to dark grays. And then after the comic ended, I was free to do more comics. So um, there's a period of just doodling. Here's a picture of Aubrey Little from the Adventure Zone, uh, that arc, the one that was set in West Virginia, which I cannot think of the name now, but I enjoyed the design and vibes of that character a lot. And then a picture of Felix from Wychwood, which I guess I basically immediately started working on because these are some early designs for some Zephyr technology from my current webcomic Wychwood, and figuring out caster stuff using Kyra kind of as a base because she was always supposed to be very adept with the caster technology. Some ink doodles, a little Kyra, and some winter scenes, and then some cute stickers that I think I got at SPX that year. Um, Here is the drawing that I did for celebrating the uh, finale of my Kickstarter, for to print the final book of Chirault, the final 2 books kind of in one. It was pretty neat getting that finished, like a huge moment. Very nice to kind of close the book, so to speak, by making books. And I colored this in Photoshop and put it up in the update on the campaign to be like, woohoo, we did it. Um, and then going back to figuring some stuff out for Wychwood, kind of hashing out ideas for possible story beats, some landscapes, some Felix, and some monster with horrible faces. I wrote as a note to myself. Um, some line art lineups of the cast to kind of figure out relative heights, which are not really all that different, all things considered. But and then a tiara, a little sticker of Trico from the last Guardian video game. This is one that I actually made these stickers, and then this is a sticker that I got from another artist, probably also at SPX. This is a design for the other Zephyr Queen, the one who was captured and held inside of Wychwood's facility. I don't think this is actually the design that I ended up going with in the comic. It looks pretty different, but I enjoy how this one came out. Here is an early Kite when his hair was a little different. He was gonna just kind of have a slightly different vibe. Um, in the early designs, he actually had like feathered wings, which was kind of a neat little thing. This sticker is from the webcomic Star Trip. It's a little coot. Um, Here's some more figuring out of the Wychwood stuff. The certain thing that's coming up and sort of upset looking tiara, kind of just doodling things. And yeah, just more kind of concept sketching. And this is a pretty cool sticker. I suspect it's also from SPX, but I think I also went to Emerald City Comic Con that year, so it might be from that show. Um, then designs for the stickers. These are the stickers that I sent out with the books for the Kickstarter. They were kind of one of the stretch goals that everybody would get these stickers. And the finished stickers are actually at the beginning of the book over here. I had them printed on clear vinyl, so that's these two. There's a little bit of troubleshooting getting those to work, but I was pretty happy with the designs that I made. And then these are two other stickers that I got from different artists. And this section is the beginning of a 10-page short story that I did for one of the Spider Forest anthologies, the Gallery of Rogues. And I used this as an excuse to do more planning for Wychwood. So I kind of made the story about Tiara and Julian exploring kind of an abandoned place. And the place is based on the Hearn Generating Power Station, which is an actual abandoned power plant, basically, in the east end of Toronto, kind of in the Portlands area near Leslie Spit. I got to go there and do like a tour during the Luminato Art Festival and took a ton of pictures all around the place. So I used my photographs of this completely derelict power plant to kind of uh, create the setting for the story, in which I had the characters kind of sneaking in and walking around in this really dramatic and interesting looking place. Um, so all the shots of the exterior and the interior are kind of based on my own photos or for things that I didn't really get pictures of. Like I think this section, the festival didn't let us into the control rooms. I could only kind of see them through a door. So some of it is extrapolated through like other pictures and stuff. But I did all the art with a Pilot Uniball pen, just kind of really fiddling in all these little details and cross hatching for the shading and stuff like that. And yeah, this section was pretty fun. Just all these little control panels and tons of tiny little circles. I didn't uh, like type or I didn't ink in the lettering for this one because I wanted to do something a bit different with my speech bubbles and I wanted to leave myself the freedom to kind of move them around. So I didn't ink in their positions on the page, but there's like the ghosts of where I sketched them in all over the place. Um, and Originally, the story was actually only going to be 6 pages long, and this was going to be the final page. And I think the last panel had kind of more of a sort of quiet look to it. And I decided to kind of spice it up and add an extra 4 pages to the storyline. So this was edited, and there's kind of this gap of pages where, so here's a drawing of Felix, just kind of a, man, I labored on the inks for this one. There's very tiny little details all over the place. I used the smallest pen that I had. Um, this one I also ended up coloring in Photoshop separately. And some planning for spooky bug dudes. And at one point, I was actually thinking about having the casters be like bracelets like this. So they're kind of, they'd be worn on the wrist and they'd have these intricate designs, which I would probably not have enjoyed drawing repeatedly. But I'm pretty happy with what I ended up with, but these are still kind of neat little designs. So then I went back to the short story after I had decided to add the 4 pages, and they start kind of here with this section where things get a little hairier for a little bit. There's like this turbine thing that I researched, because obviously they took the turbines out of the Hearn generating station. So I researched what they looked like, where they ended up. There were photos of the turbines that were removed, which got put into some other like random part of the countryside, and so I kind of looked up what those would look like and used those in here. And then, yeah, they're dealing with this spooky eldritch energy being. Um, and once they get it to go away, just drawing more of these so many teeny tiny little lines on this turbine. Um, so I finished the short story, and then I started kind of going back to doodling because at this point I had not yet started a new, like, ongoing long form webcomic. So it's a lot of kind of meandering and doodling things and trying to figure stuff out and being like, do I like this design for this character? Like, how do I like the vibes of this? What do I want this scene to feel like? And of course, more stickers. I put stickers everywhere habitually. Around this time, I guess I got a hold of some Posca markers and tried doing this tiny little landscape scene with them. I think these are the only colors that I had were like the maroon, peach, shade of gray, and then like a lighter peach. This is all a blue ballpoint pen. I probably was like out somewhere and had limited supplies, and that might be why some of these doodles are so, the materials kind of start going all over the place. This section, for a while, I was uh, figuring out this story that was going to be set in the Svalbard seed vault. And I'd still kind of like to come back to that at some point. But this was there's a chunk of pages where I'm trying to figure out designs and story vibes for that. So it'd be kind of like a post-apocalyptic future, and I was figuring out a design for a character who could like sneak into the seed vault, and there'd be these little like guardian robots that tended to it, and I just had to figure out what that all was going to look like. So I got a hold of like a red pencil, and yeah, I was just kind of going through going through those pages. I wanted them to be kind of like a small, like a just a little guy with a big stick, and figuring out designs for like tubes of seeds, and kind of extrapolating based on what the real place looks like. I should get back to that story at some point. It was going to be fun. Here is a picture of Felix that it looks like I never finished, and I still could, I suppose. I could go back into this if I really wanted to. This 4-year-old half-inked sketch. I'm not even sure if I ink this way anymore. Um, this, it looks like I was going to start planning a little comic here, because I separated out the whole page into this grid, but I never drew anything in it, and then I just moved on. Detail. Oh, I think this was going to be for the Seed Vault story, so maybe someday. Uh, This is from so at the time my coworkers would go every week we would have sketchbook club where we'd go to a cafe and kind of all hang out and draw together. And I guess I don't know if I was the only one doing it at this session or if everybody was, but I guess I drew I drew all my coworkers kind of also looking at their sketchbooks and drawing stuff. Um, I miss that. Um, so here, I think this is planning. Oh no, this is a Photoshop brush palette window. I wonder why I drew that. Um, this is Tiara with, I think these are some of the Faber-Castell colored like pens. They have like a brush tip, and I think I got a few of those, and I was just kind of playing around with them and did this little tiara. And these are my cyborg character and a friend's cyborg character interacting, kind of a fun little ink drawing. And this is a strong ant with a holographic sword. What a cute little guy. Um, Here is, these are actually the same characters as the cyborgs from the previous page. Um, I guess I was trying something different because it looks like this sketch was done with a very light blue Copic brush pen, and I was going to do this kind of like a permanent, very light sketch layer and then go over it with like a slightly darker marker. And it looks like I got scared of the hands, which is not super surprising. That would have been complicated. Um, so here's some more little line drawings. This is figuring out the laboratory for Wychwood in the beginning of chapter 2 when Tiara gets brought to it. I wanted it to have kind of a crazy, like it's inside of a dodecahedron sort of look with this elevator coming down from the middle of it. And I spent a bunch of time kind of figuring out the layout and everything. And then once I didn't actually get to use it in as many pages as I thought I would. All that planning. I'm not sure who this character is, but they've got a neat look. I love very floofy hair, and I'm not sure what this is either. But these are four really cool stickers. Um, and then here's just a whole page of Felixes, just Felixes everywhere, uh, making expressions and standing in cool ways. I like this pose. I should do something with that. I think the light. I'm gonna see if I can get a little more. I don't know why it looks kind of dark on the screen. Anyway, so to-do lists and some doodles. Here is a drawing of Tiara with a tiny coffee. I think I did this in like watercolor pencil, which I guess I probably added water over to get them to kind of blend this way. Either that or I used like some marker over it. And then it looks like I also went in over that and and added like pen lines and stuff. And here's another one of the stickers that I made a ton of. And then in this page, it's Tiara and Kyra, kind of the same materials as that other one. I'm positive now that it was watercolor pencil crayons, and that I did go over them with water to kind of blend them a bit. It gives it this kind of very crunchy, textured sort of look that is pretty fun. Um, Here's some more Wychwood doodling. A Tiara, a Kyra, this eyeball guy, and then just a weird face, just 'cause. Here is a Julian doing some cool magic stuff. Spent a lot of time on these teeny tiny lines all over the ground. I ended up coloring this in Photoshop, and because the line art is so much more thin than I usually do, I was like cursing myself the whole time, but I'm pretty happy with the overall look of the picture once it was finished. This looks like it was drawn for me by a friend named Delphina who does the webcomic called Zombulus. So that means all this probably happened around the time of Emerald City Comic Con or VanCaf, because I think we met around that time. So that would have been when this got drawn. And here's a Tiara doing a cool fire punch out of a wall of fire, as she does, inked with the Uniball pen from Pilot. And this page is some more planning for chapter 1 of Wychwood. I think by this point I had a more concrete idea of like what the script of the story was going to look like, and kind of where I was going to go with the narrative. So these are actually moments that ended up happening in the story, and I was kind of, yeah, just figuring out the look of the characters and some of the dialogue. I guess I wrote out a little list for myself of like, here's some scenes that I should draw pictures of to solidify my sense of what's going to happen. So here's from inside the facility. Tiara and Julian are kind of crouching, and as Felix and the rest of the Wychwood crew come in, and the lines in this are so tiny. I don't do inks this small anymore, but I feel like I should because there's something kind of satisfying about looking at these extremely fine little details. Here's a little bit of Tiara meeting Kite. His restraints are very different in this one. Actually, like he's just not kind of not restrained except for the wings, which have this kind of double-barreled little thing on them. And you can see kind of the outlines of some of the things in the tubes back here. I think I used the framing of this pretty closely, but like it was zoomed a little more tighter, a little more tightly in, and this wall in the final layout just continues. Like there's not another hallway over here. Um, and yeah, just figuring stuff out. Here's some more Wychwood doodling. Little Kyra and Felix, and then these are more plans for kind of a Zypher like opponents, I suppose. I kind of really like this guy. He's got a very bulky sort of look, and it might be the same character, or might not be. I don't think. I mean, this character. This is not a character that has actually appeared in the story yet. Um, I'm not sure who it was originally supposed to be, but I like the look of them. And oh yeah, so I actually wrote a whole. I started writing Wychwood in prose, and in that version there were some differences. Like Wychwood actually put like a tracking device into Tiara, which she had to get out, which is what's kind of happening in this picture. Like presumably she got away from supervision for a little bit and spent some time getting the tracker out. But I didn't end up going that route in the finished comic for a handful of reasons, but uh, at least I have the drawing. Uh, just a picture of the trio together. Um, this is also Wychwood related, but I won't say why. Um, Here's some planning for the world building, just figuring out some of the figuring out some stuff in text. This is from when there was kind of an exercise or a drawing challenge to draw everything in your character's pockets or backpack, like what do they carry with them. And it's kind of funny just looking at like the differences between what Tiara and Julian would carry around all the time versus Kyra and Felix, who just basically don't have to carry anything. I was extremely stretching, especially with Felix, because like he doesn't really. Uh, I don't even think I gave his outfit pockets, and he doesn't have a bag. Poor guy. Um, but these two are quite loaded down with all kinds of stuff just from like their urban exploring, all of which was taken off of them at the very beginning of the story. So none of this makes it into the comic, unfortunately. But it was fun as sort of a character exercise in terms of what would they normally like have on them and like why, what's kind of the rationale behind each of these things. Here's some more planning for Wychwood. This creature And this scene basically went directly into chapter 8 with almost no changes, which I'm pretty proud of, but I love this kind of image. So that was one of those kind of moments that I was working towards kind of the whole way through the story. Here is a Kyra looking very upset. I think this was also going to be a chapter 8 moment, which didn't quite, like, I don't have a moment framed this way, but the emotion was definitely pretty up. This is this also basically went in unchanged. I think it ended up at the beginning of chapter 9 though, when Queen Demeneses first shows up. I had this very clear picture of what I wanted to do, although this final bit kind of didn't really happen. And then Demeneses murdering the old queen in cold blood, another pivot moment that was planned from very early on. Some Tiara holding down Felix probably after he's kind of starting to freak out after the breach opens up and everything. Some more spooky monsters, just sketching all these different critter designs, figuring stuff out. Here's some more Wychwood doodling of cool spooky bug monsters, and yeah, just a lot of concept sketching. Some of these get pretty rough, like this one. I didn't really spend any time at all cleaning it up, just very, very loose and hashing out shapes. And when it comes to these sketches, generally, as soon as the emotion is kind of coming through, or like the general vibes of whatever it was I wanted to go for, that's when I just stop. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Um, these are also all kind of Wychwood related fun stuff, some spooky statues. Um, and then I guess this is writing out some notes about things. I don't think these characters ended up in the story at all. Here's a sad looking Felix sitting on a rock, and some sleepy Tiara and Kyra. This is ballpoint pen, it looks like, over pencil, which is not quite the best of ideas because it looks like I tried to erase it after that and the ink smeared because ballpoint ink never really dries all the way. And then I think these might have been my attempts to draw cars from memory. And one was just kind of a sedan type car, and then the other one was this funny little beetle, little buggy, and some environment sketching, trying to figure out the look of a place. And here is Tiara having a beer. And I think that's it. This is actually a separate page, not part of the sketchbook itself, which is just some thumbnails from some point in the story. And yeah, that is my 2018 sketchbook with my cute little Ghibli cover.